Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as a person who watches TikTok videos so that you don't have to, China has officially responded to the Trump tariffs. In a bold statement, a Chinese government representative declared, and I quote, "China is fully prepared to fight till the end. The world is big enough and China does not solely depend on America for trade." Victor, a prominent Chinese spokesperson, doubled down on that statement saying, "China doesn't care. We've been around for 5,000 years. We will survive with or without the United States in the next 5,000 years. Word on the market is the US imports far more goods from China than China does from the USA. What initially started as a tariff hike on Chinese goods has now evolved into a full-scale economic standoff. At this point, let's call it what it really is, a trade war. And truth be told, China holds a lot of leverage here. The US has multi-billion-dollar manufacturing plants on Chinese soil. On the flip side, China imports mainly soybeans and a few agricultural produce from the US goods. It can easily source this from any other country. With all this in play, it's not far-fetched to predict that President Trump may eventually be forced to walk back these tariffs. So here are some TikTok reactions concerning this, responding to this, reacting to this. Let's watch them together. I'm gonna leave my own 2 cents at the end of this video.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
It's getting messy between China and the United States. China analyst Victor Gallo just did an interview. He said that China will not be bullied by the United States. He also stated that China has been here for 5,000 years, way before the United States ever existed. They knew how to get along before the United States, and they will continue to be great in their country. He also stated that he doesn't care if the U.S. pull out of Chinese markets. He said, "Be my guest." His exact words, "We don't care." He's stating that they have enough businesses with other countries, and also they made a great amount of money off the United States, so they can basically sit for a while and it won't affect them. They're saying that the United States is trying to bully them into a deal, and they will not be bullied. I don't even know if we have the leverage to not use the Chinese market. I'll see if we was making a lot of products in the United States, but let's just be real about it. Most of those bigger companies took their companies over to China because they pay for more cheaper labor than what they will have to pay in the United States. It's getting real clear. I went out shopping today. The stores are starting to look bare. Small businesses will lose because they depend on Chinese manufacturing. I don't see a bill coming. I don't see a trade deal coming soon before these two countries, because the China is saying that the United States feel like they're the totality of the world, and they're going to show them they're not. So we'll see.
China's going to win this trade war for one reason and one reason only, and I do not see it being covered on the news. And that is leverage. China does not have manufacturing plants in the United States. However, the United States, our companies, have manufacturing plants in China. So what is it that China imports from the United States? Soybeans, wheat, rice, agricultural produce, which they can get from pretty much any other country. China does not need the United States. We, however, are highly invested in and committed to China because we have our plants there. And so for our US companies to move our manufacturing back to the United States, or any other country for that matter, it costs billions of dollars. It takes several years. You have to pass zoning. You have to pass the vote from the citizens that live in the area. It's a lengthy, expensive process. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump has been so inconsistent on his tariff policy. Why would any US company trust what he has to say regarding trade policy? So, therefore, China has all of the leverage. We have a lot to lose by losing China. China has absolutely nothing to lose if they want to pick a different country to trade with. And that's why I'm predicting right now that Donald Trump is going to remove his tariffs from China.
Now that China has proven to the United States that it's standing 10 toes down, that they're not playing with us with these retaliatory tariffs, Donald Trump has now issued a 90-day pause on all tariffs for all countries. See, this little ping pong game, this little volley between United States and China is literally the world's two largest economies going back and forth. So now that Chinese exports were raising prices, canceling orders and shipments, and rerouting goods, Donald Trump started to realize he was fucking around a little bit too much. So for reference check, you can find this article on MSN.com. The title of the article is Chinese Sellers Hike Prices, Cancel Orders Amid Trump's Tariffs. This is more of a live update. This was posted 2 hours ago. See, when Donald Trump issued that 104% tariff on China and then the additional 21% levy on Beijing, he really upset some Chinese sellers that work on platforms such as Amazon and Shein, who have literally raised their prices up to 70%. Some businesses are rerouting goods through third-party countries to avoid tariffs, avoiding complexities to global supply chains. Donald Trump really should have never, ever started this war. He should have never, ever started this war because the United States relies on China far too much for them to be going to war with them like this. Like, why would you think that out of all places, you should be prioritizing raising so much money on China? Now the United States is losing orders. They're canceling orders. They're using third-party countries to avoid the tariff. So that's hurting the United States economy. We're not getting that money. Like, what did you expect?
China raises tariffs on us to 125%. Donald Trump is trying to play chess with China when China owns the chessboard, has already called checkmate, and has folded it up and left the table. Nothing about China suggests that they are going to yield to Donald Trump. I'm not sure who he thinks he's playing with. China is the world's factory. They make almost everything. They literally have nothing to lose. It doesn't take a geopolitical genius to see that. Only the dumbest president that ever lived would assume that China would fold on a trade war with the United States. He's just not smart enough. And he thinks he's smart enough, but he's just not smart enough to pull something like this off. And his narcissism prevents him from keeping anybody around him that is also smart enough to figure this out. Small businesses that rely on imports from China are going to shut down. People will literally suffer and lose their livelihoods because Trump is that stupid. People are losing their lives because Trump is that stupid.
So the US and China are in a trade war. Tariffs are expected to exceed 100%. Do you know what this will mean for those of us in the US? Everything will be prohibitively expensive. Some people may not know, but so many of our goods come from China. So many American small businesses get their products from China. This could bankrupt so many of your favorite businesses. If this isn't showing you that Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing, I don't know what does. This is very bad for the US economy.
Okay, and now it seems that the plot has taken another turn. Latest word on the street is that Trump might be realizing that China isn't backing down. Behind the board talk and tariffs, there's growing speculation that the White House is feeling the pressure and that the so-called easy-to-win trade war is proving anything but. It's no secret China has played this very strategically, calm, focused, and completely unshaken. From day one, they've been sending a clear message: we are ready to fight this to the end. We don't rely on America to survive. The world is big enough. Victor Gaio, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, one of their top voices, didn't sugarcoat anything. He said it straight. China doesn't care. They've been here for 5,000 years and they're not going anywhere with or without the US trade. And that kind of confidence is starting to show in global markets. Investors are watching closely. Analysts are starting to agree. The whispers are getting louder. People are talking. The TikTok community is talking. We are talking. China might actually win this trade war. Let's not forget America imports far more from China than China does from America. So US business rely on Chinese factories, labor, and infrastructure. China, on the other hand, can easily shift its soybean imports to countries like Brazil. They've got options. Meanwhile, the US companies are caught in the middle. Billion-dollar plants in China, deeply rooted supply chains, and rising costs. That's not something you can just walk away from without serious consequences. So now the big question is, does Trump keep pushing, or does he say, okay, enough is enough, let's talk? If he does pull back on these tariffs, it will speak volumes. It will mean that strategy didn't go as planned, that China's patience and economic positioning forced a hand, and it might just make a major moment in the US-China power balance. But if it doesn't, then the US citizens are in for a long, drawn-out economic standoff that could hit both nations hard, but mostly the US. China said it will survive this. They've been there for the last 5,000 years, and they can live another 5,000 years without depending on anybody. They've made it clear. No matter which way this goes, one thing's clear: this isn't just a trade disagreement anymore. This is a battle of economic endurance, global influence, and political pride. Yeah, pride. That's the word I was looking for. So what do you think? Is Trump starting to cave under pressure? Is China truly winning this war? Or are they just playing the long game better? And what does all this mean for the rest of the world? Because we are watching. I mean, the whole world is on China and the US. We want to see who's going to give up on this, who's going to back down. And I mean, so drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. I want to hear your take on this. And if you're into global politics, power shifts, and real economic talk, please hit that button. We talk about anything on this channel, the black community, anything to do with black community, like we just talk about it, a lot of things. Yeah, we break these stories down with clarity and context every single time. With that being said, I just want to say thanks for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video for more videos like this. And I will definitely see you in my next video. Please stay peaceful.